Trey Hendrickson to Atlanta? The rumors are heating up. The possibility of Trey Hendrickson landing in Atlanta is not just back, it's stronger than ever. In this video, we're breaking down everything that's happened in the last 24 hours and why signs are pointing to Hendrickson not only getting traded, but Atlanta being a perfect fit. If you missed it, Trey Hendrickson appeared on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and he got real honest about his situation, something we rarely see in public, especially when it comes to contract talks. Hendrickson stayed calm and respectful, but he clearly laid out the issue. The Cincinnati Bengals don't want to pay him what he's worth. He even compared the situation to real estate. He said that home prices go up over time, but the Bengals are trying to pay him like it's 3 years ago, not based on what he's worth today. That idea came across clearly in both his interview and some tweets that followed. A few of those tweets reflect how the Bengals front office views him, and let's just say, it's getting messy. But don't worry, I'll walk you through it all right here in this video. Before we dive in, quick shout out to this awesome hat I'm wearing, the Great Barrier Thief, a tribute to my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, Dyson Daniels. If you want one, there's a link in the description. Stylish, retro, and just plain cool. Alright, back to the news. One of the most telling tweets came from Underdog NFL, quoting Hendrickson on his contract talks with the Bengals. He said, "Communication has been poor over the last couple months. That's something I hold in high regard. They haven't even talked to my agent directly. It's been frustrating." Wow, that's huge. We've been hearing reports that a deal was close, that talks were ongoing, and everything seemed positive. But now, from Hendrickson himself, we find out the Bengals haven't even called his agent? That's not just a surprise. That's a major red flag. Bengals undervaluing Hendrickson? Falcons could be in the mix. If I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, this whole situation would have me worried. And if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm paying attention. The fact that the Bengals haven't even started serious contract talks with Trey Hendrickson shows there might be a real opportunity here for Atlanta. Now, let's look at the second big development that made waves. A media outlet asked Bengals Executive Vice President Katie Blackburn about Hendrickson's contract status. And her response? Honestly, it raised eyebrows. He should be happy at certain rates that maybe he doesn't think he'd be happy at. I think some of it's on him to be happy at some point. And if he's not, that's what holds it up sometimes. We have all the respect in the world for him. He's been a great player. We're happy to have him. And maybe we'll find a way to make something work. That's strange. Basically, the Bengals are saying, we've made him an offer. If he's not happy with it, that's on him. Let's be real, that sounds like a lowball deal. Especially considering the Bengals just paid big money to their two-star receivers, but now seem unwilling to pay their top defensive player what he deserves. And this circles back to the home value analogy Hendrickson mentioned. The Bengals are trying to get him at a discounted price, while other elite pass rushers like Myles Garrett and Max Crosby are driving up the market. If I had to guess, Hendrickson's market value is somewhere around $35 to $40 million per year. But the Bengals? They're probably offering $25 to $30 million and expecting him to be grateful for it. But Hendrickson isn't having it. He's been leading the league in sacks, was top 5 over the past 2 seasons, and he knows his worth. He also revealed in his interview that he tried to get an extension 3 years ago, and the Bengals weren't interested then either. So now he's asking, why should I do you a favor now when you wouldn't pay me before? This is turning into a real standoff, and if it continues, Atlanta might just swoop in and make a deal the Bengals won't. And there's one more tweet from NFL insider Brian that makes things even more interesting. Trey Hendrickson could be the missing piece for the Falcons. NFL insider Brian hit the nail on the head when he said this: "If you're an NFL GM, you've got to be making calls about Trey Hendrickson." That interview Trey gave? Total game changer. It wasn't just about football, it was about culture, leadership, and being honest in a business that rarely is. Brian also said Hendrickson isn't just a great player, he's someone who changes the tone of the locker room. He's the kind of guy who brings energy, discipline, and leadership to any team he joins. And oh yeah, he's a beast on the field too. He even joked that the guy can fish. But while all this is happening, the Cincinnati Bengals are still doing nothing. They haven't even picked up the phone to call his agent. And worse, they're still trying to offer him last year's money while the market for elite pass rushers has gone up. It's frustrating to see a player this talented and respected being lowballed. Now, let's talk Atlanta Falcons. If I'm the Falcons, this is a no-brainer. Trade a high draft pick and go get Trey Hendrickson. Why? Because this guy gives you something you haven't had in almost a decade. A true, reliable, game-changing pass rusher. With Hendrickson on board, you can pair him with Leonard Floyd, Arnold Ebiketie, and Zach Harrison to create a strong rotation. Take pressure off the draft. You won't need to reach for a pass rusher in round 1. Draft the best defensive player available, no matter the position. Think about it. 17 sacks added to this defense? That turns the Falcons into a legit playoff team, maybe even a second or third round contender. The offense is already solid. The defense just needs that extra punch, and Hendrickson is it. Not just for his production, but for the energy and mindset he brings. And I get it. Some fans won't want to give up a high pick, but GM Terry Fontenot needs to seriously consider it, especially after Hendrickson clearly said, "Nobody in Cincinnati wants to pay me. I want to be somewhere long-term, where I'm wanted and can raise my family." Atlanta could be that team. A place where he's respected, paid fairly, and can help build a winning culture. What do you think? Should the Falcons go all in on Hendrickson? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your take. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, if you're feeling this hat, the link's down below. Thanks for watching, and let's keep the conversation going.